Hello guys, welcome back to my channel, and in today's video I'll be showing you how to crochet a rib wrap cardigan. It is an easy pattern and friendly for beginners. For this cardigan, it can fit for size small and size medium, and for the yarn that I'm used to crochet this cardigan, it's actually the recycled yarn from my old knit sweater. I think this yarn is a mohair yarn because it's light and fluffy. It's a size lace that have 2 strands of yarn, and if you're making this cardigan for spring or summer, I recommend you to use any types of yarn suitable for summer. Okay, now without further ado, let's get started. First thing first, we are going to make the front part of the cardigan. To begin, make a slip knot. For crochet all the panels of the cardigan, I'm using 5mm hook, and then make the foundation chain by chain 40. It is equal 8.5 inches length. It's the height of your cardigan. If you want your cardigan more longer, you just add more chains until you got your desired length. So for this short foundation chain, it is just a sample for showing you how to crochet the stitches. You just follow the description or the pattern that I show in this video. And like I said, for this foundation chains, is the length or the height of the top. It's measuring from the underneath of the underarm until it reaches above my waist. And if you want your cardigan more longer, you just add more chains. And after you got your desired length, next I'm gonna show you how to crochet a herringbone rib stitch. For row 1, skip 1 chain and then make half double crochet into the second chain from the hook. To make half double crochet, yarn over, insert the hook into the loop, yarn over and pull up a loop, and now you got 3 loops on the hook. Then yarn over and pull through all 3 loops. Don't forget to use stitch marker to mark at this first stitch. And now you can see the last loop or the third loop of this half double crochet stitch. And next we are going to insert the hook into this last loop. And then continue insert the hook into the next chain. Yarn over and pull up a loop. And now you got 3 loops on the hook. Then yarn over and pull through all these 3 loops. And this is how we make herringbone stitch. For the next stitch, you just repeat this by insert the hook into the last loop or the third loop of the herringbone stitch, and then continue insert the hook into the next chain. Yarn over and pull up a loop, and now you got 3 loops on the hook. Then yarn over and pull through all 3 loops. Keep repeating this until you reach the end of the row. Then we'll meet you back again. And after you reach the end of the row, and this is what the first row looks like. And next, for row 2, chain 1. For chain 1, we don't count it as a stitch. Turn your work Then we are going to make half double crochet back loop only into the very first stitch. We are going to working the stitch into this back loop of these herringbone stitches. To make half double crochet back loop only, yarn over, insert the hook into the back loop of the stitch only, yarn over and pull up a loop, and now you got 3 loops on the hook. Then yarn over and pull through all these 3 loops. Don't forget to use stitch marker to mark at this first stitch. And next, we are going to make the herringbone rib stitch by insert the hook into the last loop of this half double crochet. Then continue insert the hook into the back loop of the stitch only. Then yarn over and pull up a loop, and now you got 3 loops on the hook. Then yarn over and pull through all 3 loops. Keep repeating this into every back loop of the stitch until you have one last stitch. Then I will meet you back again. And after you have one last stitch, then we are going to make herringbone stitch into both loops of the stitch at the row below. And after you reach the end of the row, for row 3, we are going to repeat the same thing like row 2. And after you reach the end of the row, and this is what row 3 looks like. And after you have made 3 rows of the herringbone rib stitch, is the space or the length at my underarm part. For you guys that make bigger size, you can add more rows by measuring from the middle part of your underarm until it reaches the front part of your underarm, as you can see. And then we are going to make increasing row to make the curved part of the armhole. Continue from where your last stitch is. For row 4, chain 3. Then turn your work, skip one chain and make half double crochet into the next chain. Don't forget to use stitch marker to mark at this first stitch. And next, make herringbone back loop only into every chain and into every stitch until you have one last stitch. Then I will meet you back again. And after you have one last stitch, then make the herringbone into both loops of the stitch at the row below. And next, for row 5, chain 1, turn your work and make half double crochet back loop only into the first stitch. Then make herringbone back loop only into each stitch until you have one last stitch. Then I will meet you back again. And after you have one last stitch, next we are going to make increase by make 2 herringbone back loop only into the same loop. And after you have made 2 stitches in the same loop, for the next part we are going to make the shoulder part of the cardigan. For my size, I made 20 chains. It's equal 5 inches length. For you guys that make bigger size, you can add more chains. For this shoulder part, it's measuring from the underneath of the underarm until it reaches the top of your shoulder. So you just add more chains until it reaches the top of your shoulder. And after you got your desired length, next, continue from where your last stitch is. For row 6, turn your work, skip 1 chain and make half double crochet. And next, make herringbone back loop only into every chain and into every stitch until you have one last stitch. Then make the herringbone into both loops. And after you reach the end of the row, next for row 7 until row 12, chain 1, turn your work and make half double crochet back loop only. Then make herringbone back loop only into every stitch until you have one last stitch. Then make the herringbone into both loops. Please keep repeating this until you reach row 12. Then I will meet you back again. And after you reach row 12, for the width of this strap is about 2.5 inches width. And this is what the strap part looks like on my shoulder. For you guys that make bigger size, you can add more rows. I recommend you to leave about 2.5 or 3 inches from your neck. It's keep for adding the ripping and the lace edging. And next, we are going to make the bust part by keep decreasing the number of the stitches. You can use stitch marker to mark where you want your neckline to start. So for the part that we use stitch marker to mark, it is where we are going to start decreasing the stitches to create a V neckline. I have skipped 22 stitches and then I mark at the 22 stitch. Make sure that your last row of the strap is end at the bottom of the cardigan. And next, continue from where your last stitch is. For row 13, chain 1, turn your work and make half double crochet back loop only. Then make herringbone back loop only into every stitch until you have 2 last stitches from the stitch marker. And after you have 2 last stitches from the stitch marker, then we are going to make decrease by make herringbone back loop only 2 stitches together. You just insert the hook into the last loop of the herringbone stitch, then continue insert the hook into the back loop of the next stitch, yarn over and pull up a loop, and now you got 3 loops on the hook. Then continue insert the hook into the next back loop only, yarn over and pull up a loop, and now you got 4 loops on the hook. Then yarn over and pull through all these 4 loops. And after you have made decrease, and next for row 14, chain 1, turn your work. Skip 1 stitch that near chain 1 and make half double crochet back loop only into the next stitch. And then continue make herringbone back loop only into every stitch until you have 1 last stitch. Then make herringbone stitch into both loops. And after you reach the end of the row, and this is what it looks like. Next, for row 15, chain 1, turn your work and make half double crochet back loop only. Then make herringbone back loop only into every stitch until you have 2 last stitches. Then we are going to make decrease again. And after you have 2 last stitches, then we are going to make herringbone decrease. And after you have made decrease, and for the next row, please keep repeating like row 14 and row 15 until you reach row 48 or until you have no more stitch left to decrease. Then I will meet you back again. And this is what the front part looks like after you have reached row 48. If you guys make the same size like mine but with a longer body part, not cropped like mine, I recommend you to add more decreasing stitch by make herringbone 3 stitches together. It's repeat the same thing like we make herringbone 2 stitches together. You just continue working the stitch into another loop until you got 5 loops on the hook, then yarn over and pull through all 5 loops. And then repeat the same thing to the other side. After you have done for both sides, and next we are going to make the back part of the cardigan. For the back part of the cardigan, start with the same thing like the front part. To begin, you just make a slip knot and make the foundation chain by chain 40 like the front part. And then from row 1 until row 12, you just repeat the same thing like the front panel from row 1 until row 12, which is until you reach the strap part. And for you guys that make different sides, you just repeat the same thing like your front panel from row 1 until you reach the last row of your strap, which is the shoulder part. And after you reach row 12 or after you finish the strap part, and next, you just skip 3 stitches and use stitch marker to mark at the 3rd stitch. Make sure that your last row of the strap is end at the bottom of the cardigan. And next, for row 13, you just make a herringbone back loop only into each stitch until you have 2 last stitches from the stitch marker. Then we are going to make decrease by make herringbone 2 stitches together. After you have made decrease, next for row 14, chain 1, turn your work, skip 1 stitch and make half double crochet back loop only. Then make herringbone back loop only into every stitch until you have 1 last stitch. Then make herringbone into both loops. After you reach the end of the row, Next, for row 15 until row 29, you just make a normal herringbone back loop only, no decrease, just a straight line, which is for the back part of your neckline. For you guys that make bigger size, you just continue add more rows until you reach the other side of the shoulder. And next, we are going to make an increasing row and then make the other strap. After you reach row 29, and for you guys that make bigger size, make sure that your last row is end at the top part and then continue from where your last stitch is. For row 30, chain 1, turn your work and make increase by make 1/2 double crochet back loop only. And then make 1 herringbone back loop only into the same loop. After you have made increase, then continue make herringbone back loop only into every stitch until you reach the end of the row. After you reach the end of the row, next, for row 31, chain 1, turn your work and make a normal herringbone back loop only into every stitch until you have one last stitch. And after you have one last stitch, then make increase by make 2 herringbone stitches in the same loop. After you have made increase, then as you can see, for the first side of the strap, I have skipped 3 stitches, and for the second side, you have to add 3 chains plus 1 for the turning chain. And after you got 4 chains, then for row 32, skip 1 chain, make half double crochet. Then make herringbone back loop only into every stitch until you reach the end of the row. After you reach the end of the row, next, for row 33 until row 38, you just make a normal herringbone back loop only, no increase or decrease, just a straight row for the strap part. And after you reach row 38, and this is what the strap looks like. For my strap, I have 7 rows. So for both straps, you must have 7 rows the same. If you guys that make bigger size, you just add more row until you got the same number of the row or the length of your first strap. And for the last part, we are going to make the underarm part. To begin, you have to count the number of the stitches that you have skipped at the first strap for making the armhole. For mine, I skipped 19 stitches. So for the other strap, I have to count 19 stitches and use stitch marker to mark at the 19th stitch. And then continue from where your last stitch is. For row 39, chain 1, turn your work and make a normal herringbone back loop only until you have 2 last stitches from the stitch marker. Then make decrease. And after you have made decrease, next for row 40, chain 1, turn your work, skip 1 stitch and make half double crochet back loop only. Then continue make herringbone back loop only into every stitch until you reach the end of the row. And after you have made 2 rows of decrease, it's like the other side that we made 2 increasing rows. And for the next row, it's just a normal row, no increase or decrease. Continue from where your last stitch is. For row 41 until row 43, chain 1, turn your work and make a normal herringbone back loop only into every stitch until the end of the row. For this one last stitch that I use stitch marker to mark, I'm going to skip it. And after you reach row 43, then chain 1 and cut off the yarn. And now we are done for the back part, and this is what it looks like. And after you have done the back panel and the front panel, and next we are going to make the sleeves. To begin, you just make a slip knot and make the foundation chain by make 75 chains. It is equal 17 inches length. It measuring from the underarm toward the wrist. If you want your sleeve more longer, you just add more chains. And then for row 1, you just make a regular herringbone stitch. Next, for row 2, chain 3. Turn your work, skip 1 chain and make half double crochet stitch. Then make herringbone back loop only into every stitch until the end of the row. And after you reach the end of the row, next for row 3, chain 1, turn your work. Then make the herringbone back loop only until you have one last stitch, then I will meet you back again. And after you have one last stitch, then make increase by make 2 herringbone back loop only into the same loop. And after you have made increase, next for row 4, chain 4. Turn your work, skip 1 chain and make half double crochet. Then make herringbone back loop only into every stitch until the end of the row. And after you reach the end of the row, for the next row, you just keep repeating row 3 and row 4 until you reach row 13. For you guys that make bigger size, you just repeat like row 3 and row 4. It means that you just keep increasing until you reach the top of your shoulder. And after you reach row 13, this is how I'm measuring my sleeves to fit my armhole. As you can see, it's measuring from the underarm until it reaches the top of my shoulder. And next, we are going to make the straight row, which is the curved part of the top shoulder. Remember, for you guys that make bigger size, your last row must end at the top of the sleeves. Then continue from where your last stitch is. For row 14, chain 2, turn your work, skip 1 chain, make half double crochet. Then make herringbone back loop only into every stitch until the end of the row. And after you reach the end of the row, next for row 15 until row 18, chain 1, turn your work. You just make a normal herringbone back loop only, no increase. Then we'll meet you back again. And after you reach row 18, for you guys that make bigger size, you just add more straight rows until it reaches the back of your shoulder. And next, we are going to make the crease until you got the same rows like we made in crease. Make sure your last row is at the bottom of the sleeve. And next, for row 19, you just make a normal herringbone back loop only until you have 3 last stitches. Then make the crease by make herringbone 2 stitches together. And after you have made the crease, for one last stitch, you just skip it. Next, for row 20, chain 1, turn your work, and you just make a normal herringbone back loop only until you reach the end of the row. And after you reach the end of the row, then skip 3 stitches at the top part of the sleeve, and use stitch marker to mark at the 3rd stitch. Continue from where your last stitch is. For row 21, you just chain 1, turn your work, and make normal herringbone back loop only until you have 2 last stitches from the stitch marker. Then make the crease. And after you have made the crease, for the 3 last stitches, you just skip it. And for the next row, you just repeat like row 20 and row 21 until you reach row 30. Then we meet you back again. And this is what it looks like after you reach row 30. For you guys that make bigger size, you just keep decreasing until you got the same number of the rows that we made in crease. And for the next row, which is the last row, you just count 2 stitches at the top part and use stitch marker to mark at the 2nd stitch. Next, for row 31, you just make a regular herringbone back loop only until you reach the stitch that you mark. And after you reach the stitch that you mark, then skip these 2 last stitches. Then you just chain 1 and cut off the yarn. And now we are done, and this is what the sleeve looks like when we fold it into 2 pieces. And after you have made the first sleeve, for the other sleeve, you just repeat the same thing like the first sleeve. And next, we are going to attach the back panel and the front panel together. I'm using smaller hook, which is 4.5mm hook, to crochet these 2 panels together. Or you guys can use darning needle to sew both panels together. To begin, attach the yarn into the corner stitch. Then chain 1 and make single crochet both sides together. To make single crochet both sides together, insert the hook into both sides loop. Yarn over and pull through these 2 loops. And now you got 2 loops on the hook. Then yarn over and pull through these 2 loops. Keep repeating this into every stitch until you reach the end of the row. Then I will meet you back again. And after you reach the end of the row, then chain 1 and cut off the yarn, and this is what it looks like. And next, we are going to attach the strap part. Attach the yarn into the corner, or you can sew this with darning needle. And then we are going to make single crochet both panels together into each row of the panel. After you reach the end of the row, then chain 1 and cut off the yarn. And next, for the other side of the front panel, you just repeat the same thing like the first side. And this is what the body part of the cardigan looks like after we have attached the front and the back panel together. And next, we are going to attach the sleeves. I already done with one sleeve, and for the other sleeve, you just repeat the same thing. So for attaching the sleeve, I'm going to use sewing method. It looks more seamless. To begin, you just fold the sleeve into 2 pieces, and then use the stitch marker to mark into the middle part of the top sleeves. And continue to attach this stitch marker with the middle part of the top shoulder, which is where we attach both straps together. And then use another stitch marker to mark at the last row of the sleeve with the middle part of the underarm, which is where we attach the body panels together. Don't forget to flip this armhole wrong side out, and then you just start sewing from the underarm part until you reach the top of the shoulder. And after you reach the top of the shoulder, then you just continue sewing the sleeve around until you reach the end of the row. Then I will meet you back again. And after you have sewn the sleeve around the armhole and reach at the underarm part, then don't forget to turn the whole sleeve wrong side out. We are going to continue sewing both sides of the sleeve that we folded into 2 pieces together until it reaches the end of the sleeves. Then we meet you back again. And this is what the cardigan looks like after you have attached the sleeves. And next, we are going to make the ribbing stitches around the edge of this front panel and around the neckline. For making the string and the rib edging around the edge of the cardigan, I'm using 4.5mm hook. To begin, make a slip knot and make the foundation chain by chain 50. It is for the string or the strap to tie this wrap cardigan around your body. You can add more chains to make the string longer. After you got your desired length for the string, then continue make slip stitch into the corner of the front part. You just continue insert the hook into this corner loop. And then yarn over and pull through all the loops. After you have made slip stitch, and this is what it looks like. And next, for row 1, you just continue make single crochet into each loop of this front part. Keep making single crochet into each loop or each stitch around until you reach the other corner of the front part. Then I will meet you back again. And this is what it looks like after you reach the other corner. After you reach the end of the row, then continue make 50 chains for the string. It is the same number like the other side that we start with the 50 chains. After you got 50 chains, next for row 2, skip 1 chain and make slip stitch into the next chain. To make slip stitch, you just insert the hook into the loop, yarn over and pull through all the loops. Keep making slip stitch into each chain until you reach the single crochet stitch, then we meet you back again. Remember, for making the slip stitch back loop only, you have to pull the yarn a little bit loose, don't crochet it too tight. And after you reach the single crochet stitch, then we are going to make slip stitch back loop only. Keep making slip stitch back loop only into every stitch until you reach the other foundation chain, then I will meet you back again. And after you reach the second foundation chain, which is the second string, then you just continue make slip stitch into each chain until you reach the end of the chain, then we meet you back again. And after you reach the end of the chain, next for row 3 until row 8, chain 1, turn your work, then make slip stitch back loop only into every stitch around until you reach the other side of the string. And this is what the rib edging around the neckline looks like. If you guys want this rib edging more bigger, you just continue add more rows of slip stitch back loop only. And this is what the string or the strap of the wrap cardigan looks like. And for the bottom edging, you just make single crochet into each row of this body part. Start attaching the yarn from this corner near the strap and then make single crochet into each row of the herringbone stitch. For crochet the edging around this bottom of the cardigan, I still use 4.5mm hook the same. After you reach the other corner that near the second strap, For the last stitch, you just make slip stitch and then pull the yarn and cut it off. And next, I'm going to add the lace edging around the sleeves. To begin, you have to attach the yarn and make single crochet around the edge of the wrist first. And after you have made single crochet around, then make slip stitch into the first stitch to connect the row. I'm still using 4.5mm crochet hook the same. And after you have made slip stitch, next, for row 2, chain 1, turn your work. Then make single crochet back loop only into every stitch around until you reach the end of the row. Then I will meet you back again. And after you reach the end of the row, then make slip stitch into the first single crochet stitch. After you have made slip stitch, then chain 1 and cut off the yarn. For making this lace edging, we only working the stitch into the front loop of single crochet at row 1, as you can see. For crochet this lace edging, I'm using polyester yarn in size lace with 2mm hook. To begin, flip the sleeve wrong side out like this and then attach the yarn into any front loop of this first single crochet row. I count this as row 3, so chain 1 and make single crochet into the same loop with chain 1. Then chain 3 and then make single crochet into the next loop. Repeat this by chain 3 and make single crochet into the next loop. Keep repeating this into each loop around until you reach the end of the row, then I will meet you back again. And this is what it looks like after you reach the end of the row. Don't forget to count the number of the single crochet stitches. Make sure that you have the odd number. So for mine, I have the even number of the single crochet stitch, so I remove one single crochet stitch. If you guys have the even number, you can remove one stitch or add another chain 3 with single crochet stitch to have the odd number. For mine, I decide to remove one single crochet stitch with the chain 3. After you got the odd number of the single crochet stitch, and next chain 1 and then continue make double crochet into the first single crochet stitch that we use stitch marker to mark. To make double crochet, yarn over, insert the hook into the single crochet stitch, yarn over and pull up a loop, and now you got 3 loops on the hook. Then yarn over, pull through 2 loops, then yarn over and pull through these 2 last loops. And this is what the end of the third row looks like. Next, for row 4, chain 3. For chain 3, we also count it as a stitch. Then make double crochet into the next chain 3 space. After you have made double crochet, then chain 2, and after you have made 2 chain, then make a double crochet into the same loop with the previous double crochet stitch. And after you have add another double crochet into the same loop, and now you got the V stitch. And next, make double crochet into the next chain 3 space. And then we are going to repeat this pattern by make the V stitch into the next chain space, make a double crochet into the chain 3 space, then chain 2 and make another double crochet into the same loop. Then make a double crochet into the next chain 3 space. Keep repeating this around until you reach the last chain 3 space. Then we meet you back again. And after you reach the last chain 3 space, you must end with the V stitch. Next, we are going to make slip stitch into the chain 3 stitch. Count 2 chains and make slip stitch into the 3rd chain. And this is what the 4th row looks like. Next, for row 5, chain 3. Make double crochet into the next chain 2 space. After you have made double crochet, then chain 3. Then make another double crochet into the same loop. And after you have made the V stitch with chain 3, and next make a double crochet into the 2nd double crochet stitch of the row below. After you have made a double crochet, then make the V stitch into the next chain 2 space. For this V stitch at row 5, you have to make chain 3. After you have made the V stitch, and next make a double crochet into the 2nd double crochet stitch of the row below. Keep repeating this pattern around until you reach the last chain 2 space. Then I will meet you back again. And after you reach the last chain 2 space, you must end with the V stitch. And next, continue make slip stitch into the chain 3 stitch. Next, for row 6, chain 3. Make 2 double crochet into the next chain 3 space. After you have made 2 double crochet into the same loop, then chain 2 and make 2 more double crochet into the same loop. After you have add 2 more double crochet, and this is what the V stitch of row 6 looks like. And next, make a double crochet into the 2nd double crochet stitch of the row below. And after you have made a double crochet, then repeat this pattern by make 2 double crochet into the next chain 3 space. Then chain 2 and add 2 more double crochet into the same loop. After you have made the V stitch, then make double crochet, keep repeating this around until you reach the last chain space. Then I will meet you back again. And after you end with a V stitch, then continue make slip stitch into the chain 3 stitch. After you have made slip stitch, next for row 7, please repeat like row 6. After you have finished row 7, next for row 8, chain 1 and make single crochet into the same loop with chain 1. Then make 6 double crochet into the next chain 2 space. After you have made 6 double crochet into the same loop, then make single crochet into a double crochet stitch, which is between the V stitch. After you have made single crochet, then repeat this by make 6 double crochet into the chain 2 space. And after you have made 6 double crochet into the same loop, then make single crochet into a double crochet stitch between the V stitch. Keep repeating this around until you reach the last chain space, then we meet you back again. And after you have made 6 double crochet into the last chain space, then continue make slip stitch into the first single crochet stitch. After you have made slip stitch, next for row 9, continue make slip stitch into the first double crochet stitch. After you have made slip stitch, then chain 4. After you got 4 chains, then skip 3 chains from the hook and insert the hook into the 4th chain. Then continue insert the hook into the next double crochet stitch. Yarn over and pull through all the loops. And next, keep repeating this by chain 4 and make slip stitch into the 4th chain with the next double crochet stitch. Keep repeating this until you reach the last double crochet stitch, then we meet you back again. And after you got 5 of these small bumps, then skip this single crochet stitch and continue make slip stitch into the next double crochet stitch. Keep repeating this into each stitch around until you reach the end of the row, then we meet you back again. And after you reach the end of the row, and this is what the stitches at row 9 looks like. After you reach the end of the row, then continue make slip stitch into this single crochet stitch. Chain 1 and cut off the yarn. And now we are done for the first sleeve, and for the other sleeve you just repeat the same thing like the first sleeve. Next, you can try this cardigan on your body and use stitch marker to mark at the V neckline. You have to mark at each side of this front part. As you can see, it is where we are going to start making the lace edging around the neckline. I'm using the white lace yarn with the 2mm hook the same. To begin, we are not going to insert the hook into this upper loop or into the back loop of this slip stitch. We are going to attach the yarn into this back loop, which is at the row below. For row 1, chain 1, then skip 1 stitch or 1 loop that near chain 1 and make double crochet into the next loop. After you have made double crochet, then chain 1 and then repeat this for 5 more times into the same loop by make double crochet into the same loop, then chain 1, then make double crochet again into the same loop. Repeat this until you got 6 stitches of double crochet, then we meet you back again. And after you got 6 stitches of double crochet, then skip 2 loops and make slip stitch into the 3rd loop. After you have made slip stitch and now you got the first shell stitch, then repeat this pattern by skip 1 loop or 1 stitch and make double crochet into the next loop. After you have made double crochet, then chain 1, then make another double crochet into the same loop. Repeat until you got 6 stitches of double crochet. And after you got 6 stitches of double crochet, next, skip 2 loops or 2 stitches and make slip stitch into the 3rd loop. Keep repeating this around until you reach the other stitch marker, then we meet you back again. And after you reach the other stitch marker, then skip 2 loops or 2 stitches and make slip stitch into the 3rd loop. And this is what the shell edging looks like. Next, for row 2, slip stitch into the next stitch. Then turn your work, then skip these 2 stitches and make slip stitch into this first double crochet stitch. Then chain 4. After you got 4 chains, then skip 3 chains and insert the hook into the 4th chain, then continue insert the hook into the next chain 1 space, yarn over and pull through all the loops. Then repeat this by chain 4, skip 3 chains and make slip stitch into the 4th chain with the next chain 1 space of the row below. Keep repeating this until you reach the last chain 1 space, then we meet you back again. And after you have made slip stitch into the last chain 1 space, and now you must got 5 of these small bumps. And next, slip stitch into this last double crochet. Then continue make slip stitch into the next double crochet. After you have made slip stitch, then you have to repeat the same pattern by chain 4 and make slip stitch into the 4th chain with the next chain 1 space. Keep repeating this until you reach the last chain space. After you reach the last chain space, then make slip stitch into the next 2 double crochet stitches. Repeat this pattern around until you reach the last shell stitch, then we meet you back again. And after you reach the last shell stitch, then make slip stitch into this last double crochet And then continue make slip stitch into the next loop. Chain 1 and cut off the yarn. And this is what the shell etching around the neckline looks like on the right side. This is what it looks like around this V neckline. Finally, your rib wrap cardigan is done. If you like this tutorial, please don't forget to click like and leave a positive comment down below. Share this with your friends. And if you are new here, don't forget to subscribe to my channel. Follow me on my social medias. And I will see you guys in the next tutorial. Bye bye.